All right. Hi, Sydney. Thank you for joining me today.
Hi, thank you.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you here. I really enjoyed our conversation that we got to have last time, and this is just something that I think is going to be really exciting and interesting to our audience. I know my daughter, who is 14, we talk about you all the time, and the fact that I'm talking to you in this interview is so exciting for her, and I'm sure a lot of girls and women are going to feel the same way.
Thank you.
Of course. So, okay, let's kick things off. Sydney, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and why we're interviewing you here today?
Yeah, so hi, my name is Sydney Satalino, and I'm a 19-year-old autistic woman who is actually the first openly autistic woman to run for president of the United States, which sounds insane considering I'm only 19. Don't worry, I'm not breaking any laws. I'm only running in 2040. But the thing is, I feel so strongly about this, and I want to create, my own path of going about it instead of just running with the one of the two major parties. I'm starting my own party instead, and my goal is to build this into something that can, be a force in American politics, and hopefully we can win seats in a local, state, and congressional levels, as well as the presidency, so that we can pass a bunch of progressive change, including the things that I stand for, like like I really want to get rid of all the corruption in government. I want to get rid of corporate money that is plaguing our politics. I want to secure human rights for all, especially for neurodivergent people like me. I want to make the economy fair for everyone, and I want to secure world peace. So all those things and more I really want to do, and I really hope that I'll be able to succeed, and hopefully I'll be able to become president in 2041. So fingers crossed.
I'm definitely voting for you, Sydney. So I found Sydney on TikTok and was just so blown away, not only by your passion, which is like very obvious, but you're very, to me, the things you're talking about are just things that Americans want and deserve. And the fact that you've obviously done your background like work on this is what blows my mind the most, and also doesn't surprise me, because to me that's actually the strength of being an autistic woman. Like your ability to like hone in on this and like really go for it is so cool. I think you're just such an inspiration. So okay, so tell me a little bit about you leading up to this point, because like at what point did you wake up and say, I am going to run for president?
Well, it's a long story, but I'd say when I was about 2 years old when I was diagnosed with autism. And at first the doctors said to my mom, you aren't going to be able to talk, your daughter's not going to be able to talk, and basically telling me that I basically wouldn't amount to anything. And my mom did not have that. She pretty much put me into so much training and like school for autistic people and stuff like that. And she fought to make sure that I'd be able to live to my biggest potential and be able to express myself and have the ability to speak, which I'm very grateful that she did. And ever since then, I went to a neurotypical school throughout kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade, and I was definitely the odd one out, and I felt so ashamed of myself, and I felt, really isolated, and it just felt really weird. So even though at first, like sometimes, like when I was like a little kid, I wanted to be president so I could paint the White House pink. I know that sounds funny, but that's all I wanted. But as I grew older, I kind of dropped that because I realized, oh, I have autism. I'm different. No one's going to want that from me. So I pretty much put that to the back burner. I focused more in on, filmmaking, which is something that I'm still really passionate about. But as I got older and as I realized how, messed up the world is, as I learned about the issues that are facing America, I learned about the inaction that, our politicians are causing and the two-party system and stuff like that, I got really frustrated. And at first I was like, well, this isn't changing. Might as well just do the best we can in this. But there was still something that, I was really frustrated with. And then in 2020, over quarantine, I realized that I was a lesbian, and it started hitting me more personally, seeing, my identity being weaponized as part of like a culture war, and like people debating over whether LGBTQ people have a right to exist, or that we're grooming people or stuff like that. It was really frustrating. At first I thought, well, it's one side who's protecting us and another side that's going after us. But then as I did more research, I realized that both sides were using us as a political prop, using us as something that, they weren't actually going to make changes for us either way. They only wanted to, exploit us and do the bare minimum and call themselves allies. And then I pretty much experienced that when about a year ago, when I was about to graduate from high school, there was like this, my school board was very homophobic. I'm from the South, so it was like a really, suburban, like suburb of Charlotte, where they were just being homophobic, and they were like, all right, no LGBT representation in school. And I was like, what? So I had a whole protest. I pretty much did all the work by myself, but I had like some help, but it wasn't really helpful. And pretty much I remember that day. So the chair of my county's Democratic Party came, and he was like, well, we want you to speak. And I was like, you didn't really do anything to help us. And I honestly don't think the two-party system's going to change things. And so after that, I thought about it a little bit. I was like, you know what, if I can make things better for all queer people everywhere outside the system, I would be happy to do that. And so I decided to look into running for president. And then about a year ago, I decided, you know what, I'm going to take the leap and create my own party.
Wow. You just blow my mind, Sydney. The fact that at such a young age, your eyes were open to all of that is like, it's so cool. It is so cool. That means you get to spend the rest of your life doing something about it. And I think that happened with a lot of people during COVID. But to me, it's just, you're just like awake. You don't have to live, you don't have to live half of your adult life just playing in a system that isn't doing anything for you. You get to like really hit the ground running. And I think that's so cool. I'm really proud of you. It's just amazing. So one of the things that I want to talk to you about is, and you talked about this a little bit when you were talking about going to school, but many autistic women are overlooked. I mean, you were diagnosed at a young age, but many are underdiagnosed, they're misdiagnosed, they're never diagnosed, they're misunderstood. So talk to me a little bit more about what this looked like and how it impacted you growing up. I mean, you touched on it a little bit, but how has it really contributed to your desire to change things as an autistic woman?
Well, I mean, obviously I was in an environment for like when I was really young where I had a lot of support and stuff like that. But then I moved from Long Island, New York, which had a lot of support for autistic and neurodivergent people, to North Carolina, where they promised my parents support, but they didn't really give me any support. And so I was feeling, a little lost and stuff. And as like my mom kept coming into school and she was like, okay, I'm going to try to help you. But as time went on, I pretty much lost all the support I had, lost the teachers that knew how to do it. My mom couldn't be able to go in anymore. And I just felt, really alone. I was losing friends. I felt really abandoned. And that contributed to BPD, which wasn't fun. But anyway, I just felt really alone. And especially when I hit like third grade, fourth grade, around the time I lost all those supports, I pretty much, I got bullied and people were like judging me. I was like, hey, you guys are 10 years old. Why are you guys bullying me for liking American Girl dolls? You guys are supposed to be playing with American Girl dolls. And they were like, no, sorry, we're like Taylor Swift in Starbucks. Sorry, you're not cool anymore. And it was really frustrating. And so So it got to the point where I had to go to like this other school for 5th grade, and I felt really, you know, it was okay. But then once we hit middle school, and it just, things really got worse. And things were starting to get a little bit better in high school. I made like a group of friends, but then COVID hit, and then I pretty much lost touch of everyone. And I spent the rest of high school being like alone, and it really hurt. And I just felt like, oh, I'm probably not going to be able to have any friends. People will always look down on me, stuff like that. Like, my only friends were online, and still to this day, that's kind of true. But it's just, you know, it's hard sometimes making friends and trying to connect with people. And like, especially when people like don't really understand you, who are neurotypical and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, first of all, middle school is the worst. We're going through it right now. And I have to say, I know every autistic individual is an individual, but one of the things that has really been obvious to me watching my daughter grow up is this concept of like, people feel really uncomfortable if you don't buy into their hive mentality. And I just think, as an autistic woman, as an autistic girl, you're never meant to fit in. You're always meant to stand out. And that really rubs people the wrong way. That's my theory on the whole thing. And then I also think that just the way, you know, some of just like the refusal to sugarcoat or to small talk or those sorts of things, like, I actually think make for a really great, cool friend, like a way deeper friendship when you do find those friendships. So there's something to be said about that, even though I know navigating that is all very difficult. I bet for those people who you are friends with, they really appreciate your friendship.
Yeah, they do. I have some really great friends. So it's nice to, you know, find people who I can really connect with.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so one of the things that's really stood out to me about you is your ability to self-advocate and your confidence. You know, you show up in a very confident manner. How do you think that has been fostered throughout your life?
Well, I mean, I pretty much had no choice. I mean, at school, no one was going to stand up for me. So I had to learn how to stand up for myself. And definitely, like I said, my background in filmmaking has really helped with me gaining confidence and stuff, because I've been writing, you know, I've been writing this like script that I ended up turning into a book, but like, I've been working on this project for almost 6 years, and I've gotten so many no's, I've gotten so many rejections for like the stupidest reasons, and they used to hurt, but now I've been having to learn that, you know, it's just a part of life. And, you know, having to go up to people and tell them about yourself and what you're doing, and like, for everything, both for, you know, my writing and my politics, it's like, it's the same thing. Like, you have to brace yourself to say, hey, this is what I'm doing. If you don't like it, you don't have to like it, but if you do, that would be great. Like, I'd say definitely like facing the hardships of rejection have really like toughened me up, so that they don't really hurt as much anymore. And that I'm like, whenever someone says no to me or says that I can't do it or that I'm stupid, I'm like, okay, well, a bunch of other people don't think I'm stupid, but it's fine.
I was just thinking, it sounds like organic rejection therapy. Have you seen? I watched some of those videos, and it's like people will set themselves up to go do 100 things they know they'll be rejected from, to like basically get to where you're at. So you did it without having to pay for it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us a little bit more about your platform.
Ooh, that's a big one. I actually just finished working on the whole thing, which is great. I got it done in a couple days. Obviously, it definitely needs more fleshing out on like the details on how we're going to do things, but I'd say the main points of my platform are, the number one thing I want to do is get rid of the corruption in our society and the corporate lobbying money that pretty much controls both parties these days. So the first thing I want to do is I want to pass legislation that pretty much forbids any corporate lobbying, forbids corporations and the rich from donating to super PACs, and pretty much stopping Congress people from insider trading, and basically reasserting the rights of the people, limiting the amount of money that a single individual can donate to a political candidate. So millionaires don't feed into them, because it's crazy how much these rich people donate to campaigns. Like, I heard someone donated $80 million to Trump alone, and like Kamala had like millions and millions of like rich people donations, and it's like insane. Like, no matter where you stand on the political spectrum right now, it's all dominated by corporations and the rich, which is really frustrating. And that's definitely something I want to tackle, so that our politicians, our leaders, are beholden to the people and not corporate money. And so the other thing I'm really passionate about is I'm really passionate about the fact that, you know, there's so many monopolies that are also like controlling like how we live and how we experience things. Like, something that like always stands out to me is that 6 companies own 90% of the food supply, which is insane. And like 6 companies own like 90% of the media too. And it's like, just these small groups of companies like control entire sectors, which is insane and doesn't allow our small businesses to compete. And it pretty much has the people at the mercy of these big corporations. So what I want to do is I want to use my antitrust abilities when I become president to pretty much, you know, break down the monopolies so that small businesses have a bigger chance of competing. And so the people aren't, you know, so that prices can go down, so inflation can go down, because they jack up the prices a lot, and it's really hurtful, especially to the middle and working class. So that will definitely help create jobs and, you know, drive down inflation, make things less expensive. And I'm also really passionate about like human rights for all. So like, I believe that there should be no hunger, no homelessness. I believe that, you know, marginalized groups deserve rights. I believe that we all deserve a clean environment, that we deserve peace, and all these other things that our politicians ignore because they're just like, okay, we can campaign on this perpetually, but we won't do anything about it, which is super frustrating. And I definitely want to actually give the people their human rights. And I believe in lowering taxes for the lower class and the middle class. I believe in getting rid of the corporate loopholes that are pretty much allow all these rich people to pay nothing in taxes, which is super frustrating. And I also believe that we should fix the minimum wage inflation, because currently our minimum wage is so like tiny, which is bad considering that it hasn't changed since I was in preschool and I'm now in college. So that definitely needs to change. I want to make unemployment protections stronger because of all the layoffs that are happening. And lastly, I want to create peace in our society. So like ending, you know, reducing the influence of the military industrial complex. I want to pretty much end all the endless war that is going on, seek diplomatic resolutions instead of war that goes on forever. I want to stop arming countries that are using our bombs to commit human rights atrocities. And I basically just want to make the world more peaceful for everyone. So yeah, that's basically my platform in a nutshell.
I love it. That all sounds wonderful to me. You know, one of the things when we had our last conversation, we talked a little bit about the fact that we do have this 2-party system. And I know you have some measures that you're putting into place, because obviously enacting the change when you have, you know, if you're a third party, but you don't really have anyone outside of the 2 parties we have today, it makes it difficult. So talk to us a little bit about the measures you're putting into place to ensure that your party is on the ballot for down votes, and you're kind of like moving up to 2040. What does that look like?
Well, I believe that one of the reasons why I decided to start my own party is that the current third parties are, not to put it lightly, but they're doing a kind of bad job, because they're like focusing more on like presidential races instead of like down ballot races where like things matter, like local elections, state elections, congressional elections, stuff like that. And it's so frustrating to watch, because we could easily have more parties in Congress, because there are some races that are completely uncontested that only one person runs because it's so heavily dominated by one party. We have one party counties, one party states where, you know, an independent or someone could easily win, but because of money and because of the incompetence of the third parties, we are not seeing any of that. So definitely something that I want to do is starting next year. I'm focusing the rest of this year on building a big enough base, but next year and leading into like the year after that, I want to start to collect signatures to get on the ballot. And I know that the signature requirements are really high. That's why I want a big base before I do it. And so I want to get on the ballot in like pretty much every state we can, but I am zeroing in on a group of like 10 to 15 states first that I feel like we'd be most likely to succeed in. So we can say, hey, we won in this place. We can win in other places too. So that will give us more momentum. And so for the 2026 midterms, which is the first thing that like, it's my hope goal. I mean, I won't be mad if we have to wait until 2028 to run anyone because I'm still in college. But for the 2026 midterms, I hope to run people in local elections and state legislature elections. So starting really small, the races that like a lot of people don't really pay attention to, but definitely I feel like if we work really hard and if we, market it to the right people, which I've honestly, it's been really great because I already have 15,000 followers on Instagram and 4,000 followers on TikTok, even though I just started these pages like 6 weeks ago, which is insane. But I feel like if we get like all those like down ballot races first and then start building up from there, like maybe go up to congressional level once we have enough state legislature level and then start running governors and stuff like that. And I really, really hope that we'll be able to succeed. And as long as we keep spreading awareness of the party, if we start, volunteering at like mutual aid organizations or like places that would be like-minded and willing to help us, and maybe going to protests and stuff like that, spreading the word to as many people as we can, that would be great. And hopefully we'll be able to, actually win. And hopefully there'll be enough people in Congress, enough people in state legislatures by 2040 so that it won't be unthinkable for our party to have a president by 2040. And hopefully, honestly, my not so secret goal is I low-key want to win every state, which has never been done before, but I'm challenging myself. Obviously, I have there's like a realistic plan, but my heart really wants to win all 50. So I really hope I'll be able to pull something like that off. If not all 50, then hopefully 270 at least. That would be kind of cool. And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to succeed.
My heart wants that for you too, Sydney. That's so cool.
Thank you.
How are you? I don't know how you're juggling all of this, okay? Because that's a lot. That sounds like 3 full-time jobs, and you're also going to school and you're doing a double major. So how are you juggling all of it?
That's a lot. I actually just switched my major to a screenwriting major and a political science minor, which I was a motion pictures major before, but honestly, I wasn't really vibing with the classes. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something that more aligns with my goals. And so I did that. And I'm going to be starting to take those classes next semester, which I'm super excited about. But I will admit, it's sometimes hard to balance school and writing and this because it's so much that I have to do. But definitely, I mean, leaning on the support of all the people who are already volunteering for my cause, who want to help me, has been great because it's like other people want to help and it's not all on me, which, for school, it's always all on me because, it's your work. But definitely collaborating with other people has been great, especially I'll be honest, it's been taking me like a little bit of time to like warm up to the idea of not having to do it all by myself because like I'm so used to doing it all by myself. But seeing the energy that is on our Slack volunteer page and our Discord server of people who want to help, people who are willing to make a change, people who want to help fight for this, it definitely warms my heart. And my fingers are crossed that we'll be able to get more people more and more involved as the time goes on, and that we will be able to, build this from the ground up and have our online community turn into in-person things and our in-person things turn into votes.
Awesome. So actually, that's a great segue into asking if people do want to join your cause, to volunteer, to do those things. Do you have a place you can direct them today, or you can give me a link and I can share it with the audience?
Yes, I do. I have two links. So if you want to like really, really volunteer, I'd say the
Mhm.
best way is that I have a form on my Instagram stories where you can click that, and it's like a little Google form where you can fill it out, and then it sends it to me, and I'll be able to like read your application and see where you fit in. And also, we have a Discord server that is open to everyone. The link is also in my Instagram story. And uh pretty much there we like chat about all things, all of this and my party, and we start to, build it. And there's a lot of people there who are really amped up about this and really want to help me, and it's been great. I mean, there's been people who are autistic, are not autistic, but they don't care. They're just happy to see someone finally standing up for what we've been wanting to stand up for so long, and it's been great. And I really hope that we'll be able to, succeed even more and keep pushing forward and get the word out.
Awesome. And so if somebody was looking for you on Discord, is it under Sydney for America?
Well, it's actually, yeah, my Instagram is Sydney for America, and the link is on there.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So really just a couple more quick questions for you. Do you think you'll do anything with your screenwriting major? Do you have any aspirations there?
Yes, I actually do. I mean, I know it's probably going to be a little bit harder for me because I'm also doing this, but I definitely have aspirations. I am almost done writing my novel, which I'm super excited about. And it's also about an autistic girl like me who wants to change the world. So I really hope that I'll be able to get it published, and hopefully a movie's made out of that, because I already have the script and I'm writing some other scripts. I have another one that is finished and a couple more that I'm kicking around ideas for. And I really hope that I'll be able to, get those out into the world too, and be able to both be a writer and doing this.
Yes, I love that. I hope so too. So I think you're just an inspiration in general to girls and women your age, but I think that specifically autistic girls and women, I'm so glad they have people like you to look up to. So what words of advice do you have for those like little Sydneys that are out there who are being overlooked today and feel like the world isn't set up for them?
Well, honestly, the world isn't set up for you because the world needs changing. So get out there and change the world in your own ways. I mean, you don't have to do as much as, you don't have to run for president if you don't want to, but just find like a way, that something that you're passionate about, that you want to, help change. Because simply existing as an autistic woman is a revolutionary act, is something that, not really seen or represented in a lot of places. So whatever you want to do it. Be unapologetically, openly autistic, and just show the world how awesome we are.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sydney. You're awesome.
Thank you.